I sure will.
You from Brittany Park coming back around deer trails, or what's the other way?
Well, trails all the same thing.
Oh, Brittany is not quite.
Is it the athletics?
Is that so?
I can't speak.
Okay.
Still
Come on,
more
get one.
parallel to Hainesville, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's one.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you for your patience tonight. The Village of Hainesville Board meeting will now come to order on Tuesday, lucky May 13th, 2014, at 7:09 p.m. If everybody will please rise and I'll lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Linda Soto,
Present.
trustees Darnowski.
Here.
Priest.
Here.
Duberstein. Here. Barrett.
Yes.
Daly.
Here.
And Walkington.
Here.
Okay, we are in quorum. I'd like a motion for approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Roll call.
Trustees Darnowski.
Aye.
Priest.
Aye.
Duberstein. Aye. Barrett.
Aye.
Daly.
Aye.
And Walkington.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, are there any takers on public comments?
I have nothing.
Nothing submitted, no takers, okay, going. Okay, do I have a motion for tonight's omnibus vote agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustees Darnowski.
Aye.
Priest.
Aye.
Duberstein. Aye. Barrett.
Aye.
Daly.
Aye.
And Walkington.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, we'll move on to reports and communications. We start with our village engineer, Greg Ruin.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a couple of things tonight. First, I was able to attend a meeting concerning this community development block grant that we are in line for at the county last month. Essentially, the county is waiting for their funding commitment from HUD, which is a federal agency. They hope to have that commitment by June, and after that time, once they get their funds in line, we will be getting a sub-recipient agreement, which would need to be executed by Village of Hainesville, and then also by the Lake County Board. I would expect that would occur sometime in July, and then we would be ready to go out to bid in August with an early September or late August start for the Cranberry Lake subdivision road resurfacing project. As far as the Washington Street improvements that are currently underway, I was on their website today, and they're indicating that they're 35% complete with the Washington Street improvements. Lake County DOT is. And then I was meeting with an engineer from Lake County DOT and just talking about the upcoming Washington Street improvements for phase 2 and 3. And he indicated that there's actually going to be a bypass constructed similar to what they're doing with Rollins Road, so that there may be periodic shutdowns of Washington Street, but it's not going to be a complete closure for 18 months. So, yeah, that's all I have.
Question for you. Sir, 3, 4, 5 months ago, asked about extending the 5-year plan for road improvement or road repair.
Jerry, you need to use your mic. No.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so we asked about extending that plan. Has any work taken place on that? Have you guys got a chance to work on it at all?
We haven't started that. I recommend that we get this paving project done, and then that'll be our baseline for starting a new 5-year plan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Greg, thank you. Village Attorney, Jim Rack.
Thank you, Mayor Soto. We are currently in discussions with the Village of Grays Lake to renew and update the police services agreement. And we anticipate that we'll be bringing that agreement to the board in the near future. Also, there's one of the cell tower leases will be expiring in approximately a year, and Adam Simon from our office is in discussions with the lessee in that arrangement, and we'll be bringing that. I would anticipate that may take a little more time. Those agreements aren't as quick to turn around, but we are in the midst of those discussions at this point.
Thank you. Okay, our Public Works Superintendent, Jeff Gately, is at a high school athletic dinner. He has a senior graduating from Grays Lake Central. We're very proud. So a lot of those festivities are going on. He did leave a report with me. Some of you may already be well aware that we recently had a water main leak. It was not recognized immediately. The flag was caught on the monthly report where we were pumping more water than billing out. And it climbed quite a bit the last month. And nothing was noticeable driving through the neighborhood. Of course, this is coming off a time where we had a significant melt. Our wetlands are full. And unfortunately, we have water main that runs along wetlands, so depending where the break is, it's not something you would necessarily notice. Our contractor that maintains the water system came in, assisted Jeff. We still didn't find anything in, so we brought in a contractor that specializes in finding those types of leaks. And after going through 90% of the village, it turns out the leak was in front of the village hall. But down by near the culvert, and so the water then runs under Hainesville Road and goes to that wetland across the street. The good news is it was able to be contained. It was repaired rather quickly, and fortunately, because it was contained, we didn't have to issue boil orders or any of that type of stuff. So. And then, of course, as we all know, spring has been delayed significantly. So we have projects that are anxious to get started, and we've been trying, and as soon as we get started, the weather changes. And so I think you all can understand we're doing the best we can. So Public Works and everybody is anxious to get moving as soon as the weather cooperates a little better. Also, the emerald ash borer trees that were taken out and the tree stumps that were ground down, those trees will be replaced and planted this spring. And given the weather again, they have a timeline that they have to meet, so they may be working on Saturdays, but they will get the trees in. And also, they will be assessing the trees throughout the community, whether it's for emerald ash borer or just general parkway replacement. So that list will be put together shortly. And I believe that's all I have from Jeff at this time. Police Chief Phil Perlini.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you. I know that as far as we're concerned, I've been talking for the last few months to you and some of the board members about changing our reporting to the village to make it not so call related, but more with a time element mixed into that. Chris Sparkman, how's this? A little better?
No, it's on all of them, I think.
Is it from us? It sounds like it's here, right?
Definitely heard a lot from you.
Me?
Don't, I need you to talk into the mic, but not have it right by you.
How about this? This good?
Try a little closer.
Okay.
How's that? All right.
Is that better?
Well, we're working on some new reports that are going to incorporate times along with call numbers. You'll notice that for the current reports, it's the same kind of report that you've been getting for the last year or so. And you've noticed the numbers have changed significantly. They've gone down quite a bit. And the reason for that is what we were doing was we were making neighborhood checks, and we were actually punching a card, creating a number for those neighborhood checks. Now what we do is we've made the neighborhood checks a status, so we account for it by time. We have GPS units, or actually vehicle locators on all of our squad cars. and it is fully operational. So we're able to see where our cars are at any given time. So rather than have our guys creating these incidents or incident numbers, which I believe are misleading, they create a false sense of number of calls that we handle, both here and in Grays Lake. What we've done is we've made that a status, so it doesn't count as a call, but the time still counts that we're in Hainesville because the time is accounted for through the automatic vehicle locator, so we know where the vehicles are. So we know when the vehicles are in Hainesville and when they're not in Hainesville. So we still have to figure a way to cross-reference those reports and get those times available so we can give an accurate count of how many police officers are in town at any given time in a 24-hour period. So this, what our ultimate goal is to get to you, is not so much we handled 74 calls in Hainesville this month, but
we do like to know that.
oh yeah, so that'll be in there too, but it'll be 74 calls. It won't be 74 residential checks. It'll be
Right.
74 actual calls or business checks or something that is more specific, not just driving around the neighborhood. The driving around the neighborhood, checking the neighborhood times will all be accounted for, but accounted for in time, not in number. So we're just trying to get those reports together. It involves SQL data and pivot tables and things that are way over my head. So we have Chris Sparkman working on it for the village, newly hired, and he's working on it with Dick Welton, our records guy, and they're getting a report together. But you know, maybe a couple of months before we get a couple of trials before we get what we really want out of the reporting. All the data's there. We just got to figure out how to get it together to make it look like a report, something you can pick up and understand and know what we're talking about. I mean, I can sit here and explain stuff to you, but I'd rather you be able to read a report and stuff, and then if you have questions, you can just ask me at the meetings or whatever. This stuff doesn't always tell the whole story, as you know, which we put in this other report that's sort of a summary, and that's summary of our more important calls, so you know about those anyway. And of course, you can always just pick up a phone and call me. So that's about all that's going on here. We're ordering a couple 3 new cars. They're going to be Chevy Tahoes. One of them will be unmarked, so we're going to have 2 regular marked police cars and an unmarked police car, which you may or may not notice driving through town. We'll probably be taking delivery in a couple of months on those. We're getting away from the Ford Tauruses. They're a little small for our officers. And we're trying to go to something a little bit bigger. So we're going to try these Tahoes out and see what happens. And I'm getting a sort of an important phone call right now, so if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, let's see what that says for those easier. One thing I just want to poll the board on, and in fairness to the chief, I didn't get a chance to discuss with him since yesterday because I've been in a lot of meetings. But of course, this past weekend, Mother's Day weekend, we had some pleasant weekend. It was short-lived. And of course, that brings out a little nonsense, nothing too serious, but mischief is starting, and I wanted to mention that to the chief, and that we get the park areas patrolled more. And I think a couple people had made comments about the speeding and the cut-throughs. With the construction season and warm weather, people get anxious and there's going to be more cut-through traffic. And he's aware of that, but I wanted to mention it to him at the board meeting just so we get that out on the patrol roster. So, I don't know if anybody has any comments to add to that or concerns that they've experienced recently. Okay, so our treasurer is also at she has a senior graduating as well. So we'll move on to our village clerk, Kathy Metzler.
Okay, Merle and I are wrapping up the business license renewals. The reports that I always give staff and trustees about our business license listings will be in everybody's mailbox this week. I am calling this week regarding our assisted listening system that will accommodate people with hearing aids. So it will be installed for our next meeting. And then since the passing of our new solicitor's ordinance, I've been working with Margaret at the PD, and the chief trying to get it all figured out. And then just busy with FOIAs and contractors licensing. That's it.
Question for you, Kathy.
Yes.
It's probably a year ago that I brought this up. I don't know if you ever had a chance to follow up on it or not. We talked about a multi-year business license
Well,
as a possibility.
you really need to do 1 year.
That was rolled out, we had talked to
Yeah.
our attorney about it, and it was
Yeah.
rolled out, yeah.
Yeah.
What we are collecting research on, and we're gonna actually assign this task to the finance committee, is we've been collecting information to better streamline our business license fees. Some of them were established eons ago, and we can't necessarily find a logical reason why certain businesses are set at certain rates. So that's being investigated, and based on finance committee recommendations, we'll give that to our attorney and then make a recommendation to the board.
It's really not too far from here. Just hit the newspaper by raising one of their business license from $250 annually to $2,500.
What kind of business?
I think it was Island Lake, and it was for anybody who wanted to have video gambling.
Oh, for video gambling. Wow.
That's a big jump.
And their explanation was the village needed the revenue.
Oh, my. Well, that ought to be interesting. I think there'll be more headlines on that. What do you think?
They wanted the game. They never.
That's right. So, interesting.
Fine, but-
Anything else for the clerk?
No, thank you.
Okay, move on to the mayor's report. In fact, prior to this meeting, I was in my office regarding one of the Tall Oak Conservancy easement meetings. Our final letter with final notice to the residents that we had not heard from yet. The deadline was yesterday, May 12th. And I had heard and met with everybody and/or received signed forms with the exception of 3 households. One of those households came in this evening, and so that has been put to bed. We have 2 households left. Now, of course, we have the legal right to proceed. We don't need to have contact with them. We don't need to have permission from them. That being said, one of those homeowners does have a fence on their property, and that does require a relocation of part of that fence. So they will be contacted, perhaps with the assistance of a community service officer, delivering a final notice to their house. So that contact will be made. But we're very happy that everything else went really well. With more and more understanding, I think for the most part, the majority of the residents feel good about the project. There are still a few that, of course, are not happy about it, but they understand that it is moving forward. I recently attended Route 53 120 Finance Committee and the second of the Land Use Committee that's being led by the Tollway Authority and CMAP. And I have an article that's on the website, and that gives you a link to the website that will provide you information as the project and the committees move forward, so you can get updates. It also tells you when the meetings are taking place. They are public meetings, so you are welcome to attend. They will also be forwarding articles that we can put in the newsletter. So we don't meet next until July, but I encourage you to look on the website and look for that link and stay tuned on that. And tomorrow morning, I will be attending a roundtable discussion that Congressman Brad Schneider is hosting, and that is in Wheeling. So that's getting input from all of us in the 10th district on the federal level, so I hope to come back and report good things. I will say that Congressman Schneider has been very very thorough and constant in his communication, I think, with all the municipalities in the district, so I do give him kudos for that. With that, we're going to move on to standing committees, and we'll start with Finance. Trustee Daly.
Very little. Kelly is preparing for the audit. It's that time of year again. Other than that, I have nothing.
Fair enough. Public Works, Trustee Walkington.
Shorter than Jerry, so I'll pass.
Well, when are you going to make it stop raining?
When are we gonna have summer?
I'd like spring first.
I
Yeah,
think we've had some move back to fall.
Yeah, I'm sure the farmers are gonna get it for some special weather, but we're not getting it. It'll come, it'll be here.
All right, well then we'll go to Public Safety. Trustee Priest.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a meeting tonight, and basically we're just discussing what's going on, what we can be looking at in the village as far as public safety. Trustee Garadowski brought up the speeding is getting more intense around his area, stuff like that, so I was going to bring that up with the chief, if we could maybe do a little bit more patrols.
Sure, we're at.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. Do we have any update?
He was seen this morning, everything's okay, the car's not in the driveway, the neighbors are assuming he's just not home.
Okay, all right.
But he was seen this morning in front.
Okay, all right, very good. What we were talking about, we're not trying to catch you off guard.
I'm busy, come on.
But thank you for volunteering.
Not the first time I heard that.
What we were commenting on, and I have not had time to talk to you about this because I've been in a lot of meetings the last 2 days, but with the spurt of warm weather this weekend, as we all know, mischief is starting to occur, and you know the requests are already there for additional patrol, keeping an eye on parks, and then a few comments about speeding and cut-through traffic. I think the combination again, which I know you're aware of, construction and then the warmer weather, just...
Yeah, we're really trying to keep an eye on the cut-through traffic because, well, as you know, I travel through town on my way to work at prime times, way to and way from. I have noticed, and we've put cars out, especially for the bus stop and things on Centennial and out by Holiday Lane and things, because people tend to hit that stop sign and just kind of blow through it. So we do have, I believe we run 2 details a day through that section, and we run 2 details over on the other side around from Misty Hill. So we run pretty close to 4 details a day. They can't always make every single one of them, but on average it's about 4 details a day. And we try to make it during the rush hour time, because obviously that's the time that we had people cutting through. We did have, as I recall, from last year, when we had that study done, we had the 1 or 2 cars that I think got up to almost 50 or 60 miles an hour on one of the roads. I think it was Misty Hill or something. And that, I couldn't explain that as an anomaly, and it definitely wasn't. What I do is when I get something that's that high, the first thing I do is I go check the date and time to see if we had anything or the fire department had anything where there might have been some emergency response and somebody wasn't paying attention, you know. But it wasn't that, so I think we had it figured out. It was like 1 or 2